John?
Yeah.
Recording?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good morning, everybody. We are here on behalf of free agent punter Donnie Jones in his representation talks with the Eagles. First, we're going to introduce ourselves. I'm James Esposito.
I'm Joseph Kilpatrick.
Rob Amrich.
And we're going to make a presentation today on the compensation we believe that our client deserves.
What we're asking for a contract, $9.5 million over 5 years, a $2 million guarantee.
So, as you're already aware, Jones played for the Eagles last year. He was the best punter in franchise history. He has the stats to back that up. He's the best available free agent in the position, and there's a media consensus surrounding the fact that this is going to be an easy re-sign for the Eagles, and he's, he's beloved by the fan base.
He's the best punter in franchise history, as we said. He has 2 Eagles records that he set last year in his first year with the Eagles. 33 punts inside of 20, which is the Eagles record, and a 40.4 net punting average, which is another Eagles record. He's only the second Eagles player ever to win the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week award. And against the Washington Redskins, he had a big 70-yard punt that effectively stopped their comeback and sealed the game for the Eagles.
Media portrayal of this seems to make this an easy decision for the Eagles to make, that Donnie Jones should definitely be re-signed. He's had obviously many critical key plays that obviously fans and media can both rally around. He's a good image for the team. He's a key point to the special teams play of the Eagles. And again, this is an article chronicling that big 70-yard punt he made.
This is just more media clippings, displaying how valuable he is. It's an easy call for the Eagles. That's what the media is saying. It's pretty clear.
Getting more media coverage, or it's essentially consensus. You guys should re-sign him.
Nick Foles for MVP.
Kid from Miami.
How silly.
Write that down.
He's not even the MVP of the Eagles. You don't know who is? We better pay attention to this week's edition of This Week in Football. This week in punting regions, Donnie Jones of the Philadelphia Eagles, 8 punts, 358 yards, a long of 69, and 7 of 8 inside the 20. Inside the 20. Look at this ball. Look how it rolls so slowly deep inside the 20. He won a championship at LSU and wrote a book about it. His nickname is Thunderfoot. Thunder! He wants to be a hedge fund manager just like Bernard Madoff. Oh, no, man. He doesn't have an Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. That makes it really difficult to research. Difficult! His birthday is July 5th, same day that Span was introduced. Yes! Same birthday as our associate producer, Max. The SARS outbreak was contained on his birthday. He loves his wife, Amrich. That didn't work, but that's bad. This week
You can't really argue with that.
Right.
His other contributions to the team, he again set several Eagle records. Again, it's 70-yard punt, and he's widely regarded as a key target for the Eagle free agency. Probably, in other articles, he stated that this should be the first priority, was resigning and bringing back Donnie Jones. And Donnie Jones is very much up for that.
Comparables. All these players are very elite punters. Shane Lechler is one of the best punters of all time. Donnie Jones' play over the past couple years is very comparable to both Dave Zastudil and Shane Lechler. Payment for Dave Zastudil was $2.95 million over 2 years. We want more because we feel that as such a critical piece of the Eagles franchise, Donnie Jones deserves a little bit more, and we want to also have him locked up as an Eagle for an extended period of time.
He's younger.
And he's younger than both of these at the time of their signature signings. Looking at his numbers, I think it's a pretty easy call. And even a number we don't have listed on here is that his punt returns actually when they ran back, were actually shorter than both these two. So there's more net yardage out of Donnie Jones than both of these players. And both of these players are pretty elite punters in the game today.
Other factors. First and foremost, Donnie Jones is the man. He's also known as Donnie Football. It is a great nickname. Or Thunderfoot, that's right. Popular with the fans. There's a lot of potential merchandising power, as you've seen in the media clips and the video we showed you. Who else are you guys going to get? Really? Chaz Henry's still available. And did you know he wrote a book? He did, about the LSU championship, which he won on the last play, 9 seconds to a championship, because he's a champion, and the Eagles want to be champions.
Intangibles.
So here's just some more graphs of, as you saw in the memo that we sent you, comparables for Jones and punting averages. You know, he's very comparable to those two we named earlier. Again, he's younger, you know, more potential to play longer. You know, resign him.
And they're very similar in their statistics off here. As you can see, Donnie Jones has a better punting, you know, inside of 20% than Shane Leckler does, who's got a big contract, about $1.3 million a year. We're asking him just 1.9. Look at his attempted returns. Fewer, you know, punt returners were actually willing to go and return these punts. He had more of them, you know, either like rolled into the 20 or in other cases they were fair caught, but there's much fewer attempted returns for Donnie Jones than ever Shane Leckler or disaster.
Our numbers pretty nicely going to fit under the salary cap. The Eagles thankfully were blessed with a lot of cap space this year, and you guys will have more than enough to sign Donnie Jones for an extended contract like we want, and to go back and get another big-time free agent, like a big-time safety like Jairus Byrd or somebody. So.
That's it. Any other presentation?
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
So in total, I guess you reunited with the contract. It's a $9.5 million over 5 years. Now, can you explain the structure of the contract? Is that just all salary? Is there any bonuses that second serve that contract that you want us to consider?
We were seeking a straight salary.
Certainly some incentives wouldn't hurt.
Right.
Maybe a $100,000 workout bonus every year.
And value bracket of just showing up to most of the workouts?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Coming in weight, things like that.
A roster bonus.
And the $2 million guarantee, is that, what's the basis for that? Is it just, you know,
We believe that his continued play for the Eagles, being the best punter in franchise history, that he deserves a little kickback now. I think he's earned that. I mean, like, his teammates love him. I think the team deserves to give him that $2 million.
Right. Now, I understand that, but I mean, like, what triggers this guaranteed money? Like,
Signing bonus.
signing bonus, okay, yeah, that's a signing bonus, yeah. So $94 million for 5 years is $1 million guaranteed. What do you think about that?
I think when it comes to punters, because it's such a statistical, something you could correlate to statistics, the rate of success, whereas other positions it's more subject to the rate of play of the game, that contract for Donnie Jones would have to be more incentive weighted as opposed to guaranteed money from our end.
Right. Now, we're not denying that Donnie Jones isn't a good player, he's a great player, but at the same time, we don't want to just say, okay, well, Donnie Jones, here's how you're going to make $9.1 million for 5 years, just show up and play a game. We want to incentivize continued great play from Donnie, and he's consistently showing great play, but we also want to give him some, some contingent money in order to further inspire great play, if that makes sense to you guys. So how do you structure this deal in order to have that? And $9.5 million for 5 years is actually a substantial amount of money for any punter or punter.
Right, correct.
And I think $9.5 million might be a tad bit too high. And at the same time, just $9.5 million, just base salary, that's also does work for us as well. So could you give us, I guess, a different structure that you can put together or something else?
Something that we could perhaps correlate with win, because we know that he's brought success to the Eagles. He's obviously a very good player. Maybe some type of bonus correlated on the Eagles' performance as a team, as well as his individual performance as a punter.
An individual performance as a punter, I mean, as you saw in the slides, you know, his punts inside the 20 were the best in Eagles history, so I mean, we're willing to work with an incentive with that, you know, a certain amount of punts inside the 20, assigning a certain amount of money to each.
How about something along the lines of an incentive component to the contract? Say he places in the top 5 in terms of top inside the 20, yeah, or net punting distance.
Yeah.
Some type of,
Work with
one of the
those.
big 3 or 4 stats that correlate to punting success.
No. And because, as you said, Donnie historically has performed extremely well, then, you know, he should easily be able to get this incentivized more.
I hesitate to agree to the incentive that you mentioned about the team play, because I don't think that Donnie Jones' individual salary should be tied to how the Eagles as a team do when he's such a, as much as he's a critical part of special teams, that's all he can do.
He is on special teams.
I understand that, and I actually do sort of agree with that as well. But also, one of the points you guys made was just like how great, or how much Donnie brings to the team that I don't think asking for key runs is so far off base, you know, because if he contributes so greatly to the team, as your reputation shows, then he should be able to at least go a little bit, you know, a little bit in with the team as well in terms of his salary or in terms of his contract.
Then, do you mind if I? Okay. I was thinking along with the team play, he's a critical special teams player, but he is a part of the special teams unit, which it would make sense to me to have a net punting average that we would set, that
Because
we
that's
agree to.
reflective of that
If it is
unit
part
as a
of
whole.
his unit, right.
And
Right, so
that's
that's
how we
the
bring the team
statistic
play.
that we focus on in terms of making the incentive component
All right.
part of the contract.
Now, 9.5 million, that's too high. How low are you guys willing to go?
Well, honestly, we think 9.5 is low to begin with. I mean, you know, given our.
I mean, Shane Lechner in 2012, that was 2 years ago, inflation rate 1.3.
What was his last year's contract? The one he's just finishing with the Eagles.
I'll bring up the Shane Lechler and Donnie Jones figures.
No, I mean the contract that he just basically paid the Eagles just now. Do you know how much it was worth?
I think it was in the low 1.3.
Yeah, I think it was like 3-4 million.
Yeah.
And now he's not high, but. Okay, so I'm not taking anything away from Donnie Jones. He's a great player, but he's an aging player. You know, not that's not offensive. He's an aging player, and to pay him double what he earned, you know, when he was younger, doesn't exactly.
I mean,
He's
the
still
Eagles-
young, he's 33.
Right, and the Eagles have had 4 different punters in the last 4 years. I mean, you want to keep this level of inconsistency. You know, you want consistency at this position, obviously. You want a special teams coordinator that knows his punters, that knows his special teams. So you want Donnie Jones in this position.
And you know, as the fans know, he's your guy.
Right,
We just
and-
gotta get to it.
I understand, and we do want Donnie Jones, you know, being forward, we do want Donnie Jones, but if we can't, or we don't want Donnie Jones that number, that's the issue we're having. If you can give us a number that's, I guess, more.
Well, why don't you give us a rebuttal offer?
We can spare for Donnie here. I mean, I believe his last contract was about 3 or 4 million. Do you guys have, that's that? I mean, I'm sure we can look
I don't
up.
think I have that.
No, let's just assume it's 4 million. So it was 4 million for, what, was it 5 years, something like that?
No,
Well, he was on a 1-year contract.
One year contract? Okay, I apologize.
He performed really well under pressure from like
Yeah,
So how much do you think he's using for
For this duration, I don't think we want to extend 5 years to a player who's already 33, despite his career success and his limited health issues. But I do think
I mean, he's played 16 games in the past, since 2005.
he has been healthy, but in the back end of this contract, he's going to be 38 years old. And, you know, no matter who you are, health is going to become an issue at that age. So I think it's more duration than years. I mean, duration of contract than the dollar amount.
Right. So 5 years, how many do you usually think we could go in?
So we'll do the same ratio, 4 years.
We could do something
And add
like
some incentives.
7.
Yes,
7 sound right?
7 million sounds reasonable, so long as some of that 7 million is potential money, if that's a 12-year notice.
What's 9.5 over 5 years?
It was like 1 point.
That's a lot of points, all right?
9.5 over 5 years is 1.9.
I believe your numbers.
And you were saying 7 over,
For 5 years. With some of that money being a potential
I
money.
mean, that's sort of, I don't think it's very drastic, that's
yeah,
like 1.2 million. Maybe he's asking for
and he's older.
He's older.
We look at the comparables, that's
Shane
a lot.
Lechner's getting 123 2 years ago in 2012.
Well,
He's also
we
older.
could do, that 7 million.
He's in his contract goes until he's 38.
Right. Now, we could do 7 million, we could do 7 million, but it wouldn't be over 5 years, it might be over maybe 4 years, something like that.
How about 6.5 and then a yearly playoff bonus if the team makes the playoffs?
But again,
And
that's
again,
another
that's
thing
tied
that's
into
not
the team's
contingent.
total
on
play.
I'm just
I mean, if you
thinking-
wanna tie that into special teams play, maybe we'll talk about that, but I don't think it should be rated to.
Then how about 6.5 with an annual potential bonus of something like $500,000 if he places in the top 3?
6.5 over 5 years.
Jones had a pretty substantial take-up last year, $840,000 minimum, plus a $65,000 signing bonus, and he's hoping to play his way. I think he did play his way.
Well, our number is 7, the number is 9.5, what's trying to do this?
Okay. How about if we have a $500,000 per year bonus if he has a net average punt of like 35 yards?
How about we relate it to the league, like the league
Totals.
punters? So say he places in the top 3, it's 500,000. If he's top 10, it's 100,000, something like that.
Of average punt length?
Yeah, that way
Yeah, I
we
mean-
correlate not only his individual success,
Right.
but the
And then
special
what would
teams.
what else would you be offering once the?
So I think that, what would that be? 7?
Yeah, I think I feel more comfortable with like 750, top 3, 500, top 5, 25, 250, top 10.
And what would that, I guess, if you were to earn all that potential money, what would be?
That's trying to come up with my
Yeah, so I think-
More than that.
I think we want to ultimately give him a guaranteed deal of like something like 1.2 and then have it be heavily incentive laden.
Right.
Because he's not like, a spring chicken.
So we're good on the 5 years though.
I mean,
If we could correlate it to, if we could draw it back from
6,
9.5, yeah.
Okay.
and if our total, if the total work of the contract is enough, we can always, do 4 years, but then the contract, the amount's gonna be a little less, in terms of how much it's gonna be worth.
Would you guys be willing to do a higher number base salary for a team option in that 5th year?
I like that more.
That sounds fine.
Do you want to take like a 5-minute break? We could both come up with a
Yeah.
certain offer and then, go
Bring
from
it to
there.
the
Right, yeah.
We just have to hurry up because we only have about
Yeah.
7 more minutes for negotiations.
Okay.
While we have to switch.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, we'll close it out in the next
Let's
like
do about
2
6
minutes
more.
after this.
I just want to get something that we just got it.
But we can't go on one.
I think we can get over 7. They seem,
Yeah.
we're getting at least over
You
7.
gave him 1.3 with 1 million.
Yeah, so as long as we get that minimum, that's fine.
I would like 4 years, 8 million with that team option for a 5th year.
I like that.
Yeah.
But the incentives might be interesting.
Yeah, they're gonna heavily incentivize that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, we
that's
could
the
also,
problem.
we could also get a higher base at the beginning, try something like that, because they're worried about age, it's garbage, they should be.
So
worried
start
about
with,
play for a
start
lot
with
longer.
$2 million first
Yeah.
2 years, and then
Yeah.
incentive laden to get that $2 million over the next.
Right,
That's not a bad idea.
I think that's because, I mean, frankly, if we had more time, I would be arguing a lot more about this age thing, because age
Yeah.
means nothing to
And
me.
Well,
punter.
I think to its first, right?
Well, kickers, punter, kicker,
As
punter,
far as
kicker.
strategy, I think we should also talk about Hector Ledezma, more than more than all of us.
Yeah,
So if we can get him to cave,
And as far as that net punt average, I came up with like 35 yards is the lowest he's
that's
had,
very low.
so he's going to hit
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So that's
When you
fine.
said that, I didn't say.
35.
yeah.
All right, so that's fine.
That video was funny, I didn't see that until,
So we'll go
Should I write
with.
this down?
Yeah. Oh, I got it. Right down. Right. I'm gonna go 2 million for the first 2 years.
Okay.
This is our low ball?
I think this is what they're gonna agree to.
Yeah.
2 million for the first 2 years, and then 1.5 base for the next 2,
Right,
front load it, and then, but then incentivize it
with the
to
five.
put him up to,
To two?
yeah, I'm debating how we want to break that up, because they were all about the top 3 punters and
Right.
all that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to do
Incentivize it as.
I want to do the 5, I want 500,000
Right.
for him hitting that 35-yard net average.
Okay, I like that.
And that's what I would want.
Okay.
However, should they not be willing to do that, let's have something with that top 10
Backup,
under.
right.
Give him 500 for the top 3.
250
500.
for top 10.
Yeah.
250 top 10.
Yeah.
What about 25 to work out the matches for Donnie?
It's fine.
Do you want to get it to 2 million or do you want
Well, we've got 2 million as our.
2 million is the base for the beginning, so we
Right.
can get.
So it'll be 4 years, 8 million,
Right.
but incentivize in the last half. Do we want to include that team option?
Yeah.
We
We
want
want
time.
the team option for the last year.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because that gives them more flexibility.
The option, do we have to request a certain salary with that? How is that?
Yeah.
Like, when he gets picked up with the team option with salary, the same kind of,
Do it the lower they incentivize stuff.
do it the same, re-up that,
Tell them
with an option for a third, like a 5th year where it's the same
it's
as the
incentivized as the 4th year, same as the 4th year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it. Or tell him.
Well, yeah, tell them already. Thank you.
What's that?
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Pierce.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying Berger's good.
That's not too contentious. Next
No,
one.
but I'm just, yeah.
I want to at least take more time for the other.
Yeah, well, that's the one that's gonna be.
Yeah, that's gonna
We
be.
want to at least get our presentation and
Right.
have that time on it.
The last one?
So, like, our third guy feels to be able to get.
No problem.
Third man.
Oh, we have a webcam back there, just.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our stuff.
Your favorite.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like you.
yeah. Yeah, you can just, whatever.
Here, pull this chair over.
But Roland actually has the basics of what these fair contracts with Roland.
I'm more compared to what we have.
Okay, and we'll just try and
Yeah, which I think that's.
make it agreeable. I think, we could offer 1.5 for 4 years, and then a 5th year team option for 2 million with a $500,000 buyout, if we choose not to kick in the option. So that brings the deal to 6.5, pretty much locked in for 4 years.
Okay, we were trying to help you guys out, because you do have the big cap space this year, and presumably next year, but we would rather have it be front-loaded, because if age is the issue you guys are concerned about, we figured that Donnie's gonna perform the next 2 years, no problem.
Right.
You got that. So we were thinking 4 years, 8 million, the first two years would be $2 million base salary. The next 2 years would be 1.5 base salary with incentives. If he hits a 35 net average, he hits his numbers, he gets an extra 500K. So it could bring it to a total of 400 to 4 years, 2 million, and we would throw in that team option for a 5th year with the same salary as the 4th year, the same incentive.
Okay, so what would the base salary be for years 3 and 4?
1.5.
Okay.
It's about what she,
What's
not
the-
she, like,
What's the actual work of that contract?
4 years, 8 million. With the option.
Which is pretty much in between what we were asking. You know, we wanted
Yeah.
9.5, you wanted 7.
Right, but
Actually came down a little
you wanted 9.5 for 5 years, and we're
Right.
getting 8 million for 3 years then?
Four with a
Oh,
fifth team
right.
option.
15 options.
How about we could do the first 2 years at $2 million per, so that takes it to 4.
Okay.
Then we
We
do,
agree there.
then we do, $1 mil per for years 3 and 4 with the bonus, like as opposed to 1.5,
How about,
because then that takes us somewhere closer to like 7.5.
this, you guys might like this before because it'll tie in your other thing. How about 1 million base salary for the 3 years 3 and 4? The $500,000 incentive bonus if he hits the 35-yard punting average. And then another 500 or another 250 based on where he places it among the top NFL punters. Top 3 he gets 500, top 10 he gets 250.
And what would that take then, in terms of?
It would keep it 4 years at 8, but it's just more incentives.
And that's something I'm more, I guess, in line with what we're looking for, so.
Yeah, because we want our payment to be correlated with,
His performance.
Performance, absolutely, which you will get.
so that's 8 over 4.
Right, with the TM options.
Okay.
Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's
good.
Okay, great, excellent,
We're
great.
gonna write that down.
Yep.
I'll
draw the contra.
There's 500 for the 35,
It was 500,000 for the 35-yard net punt average, and
another
then
500 for,
another 500 for if he's in the top 3, or another 250 if he's in the top 10.
So was that makes the deal 6 guaranteed, 2 incentive based?
Right.
Yes.
That's fair.
So it's pretty
Just any further,
Great.
and you can ask us later.
Yep.
Excellent.
It's not, guys.
Thank you.
Excellent work. Excellent
There we
work.
go.
If you guys want to do it.
Read over this thing, or
Yeah.
at least
Just
sign
sign
it.
Let us out.
Yes. I'm gonna hold it up here for you.
Okay.
This is yours, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just printed this.
Yeah.
No,
No, I got it on my computer.
Oh, yeah?
I don't have enough money.
Actually,
So you've got like 15 minutes.
maybe
We got like 15 minutes, so
I was
I'm
wrong.
we have like until 10.
We said we had until 10:50.
It said the guy in the actual permits, we only have 10.
We should be alright, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where Chris's video might come in.
Like turn it back on though?
We could do our presentation and
I don't know how
then,
to do that.
you know, like.
I don't wanna sit right in front of it.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes.
It's mostly just recording people who are speaking.
Okay. We have a small rebuttal.
I guess if you're
We can
gonna
do
be
it
on
right
this
now.
side.
Yeah.
Alright, guys, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so which
side?
places?
Yeah,
Let's just save time, let's just.
Joe, I guess
Yeah.
you scroll down if they need to.
Yeah, good.
I'm gonna point this towards you guys so that you guys.
Yeah.
Alright, so now it's. Where are you?
So, opening Hector Ledezma, Roland Driscoll here.
DePeyster.
There we go. And then, so, the first representative is Jairus Byrd, and I guess the best way to describe Jairus Byrd is that he's just the best free agent available for this year. He's just the best. And which is why this is what we think is a great contract to begin with in order to sign with the Eagles. And it's the contract amount is it's a 6-year contract worth $68 million with $36 million guaranteed. And I mean it's laid out there so you know so we can discuss it. But the reason why we think Jairus Byrd deserves that is just because he's the best player around for this year. I mean, he's got multiple accolades. He's been selected for the Pro Bowl 6 times. He's got on the third page, you'll see his career statistics. He's got like 2013, he's got 37 fumble tackles, 4 fumble, 4 interceptions. He's just all around a great player. He's great athletic ability and a lot of play potential.
Yeah, and obviously that number, we pretty much derived it from looking at the other top 3 safeties in the league. We know the Eagles, have plenty of money and plenty of need to have a guy like Jairus Byrd. Because if you look at, I want to say their weaknesses, this would be one of the areas that they definitely like to looking to strengthen. So we think we're a perfect fit as long as we can make the dollars match
Makes
up.
sense, yeah.
We broke the 6 years and, you know, well, obviously in
How old
6
is he?
years. Pardon me?
How old is he?
Oh, you're not talking about that?
Bird's 27.
You know.
He's only been in the league a few years.
And just the same thing with Buffalo Bills. So the statistics that you'll find on people on page 3 or 4 is just based on his play with the Buffalo Bills.
What is that speed bonus you're talking about there?
Right. If it's we emailed you guys our I guess a copy of this. And we define our terms. Our speed bonus when we review that.
Oh, I see that right here.
Second page.
Yeah, it's right.
So if Bird can take a 40-yard dash time of 4.7 or faster, the team will we'll pay him out this bonus. Now he'll have
4.68 was his time coming out of college. So if he's maintaining the same, speed off the ball, then that correlates with the success of the ball. He's had 22 interceptions since he's been in the league. His first year was 2009. He's a 3-time All-Pro player as well as a 3-time Pro Bowler. So we think that his speed, especially at his position, is definitely correlated with success.
Yeah, we figured something like a weight bonus really didn't make a lot of sense to the position, so we kind of came up with this.
Speed is kind of a blending of the two, because if you're, coming to camp out of shape and overweight, you're not going to be fast.
Right. And speed's pretty much correct as the first position, which is why it's most applicable. And there are different proposals in the PRC that we talked about. If you guys have any questions about them, or if you guys disagree about them.
Yeah, we had a similar idea about front. Oh, I'm not so sure referring to the last negotiation, but similar idea, front loading, having the cap room right now. Making sure he gets the money he wants, but not hurting, the Eagles' ability to get who they need in the future.
Okay.
We also have a couple comparables like you guys had. Just to note on a few, Troy Polamalu and Eric Berry both paid similar figures as to what we're requesting. If you look at the graph,
Maybe page 5 or
page
4 and 5.
So number of tackles per game, his figures are pretty much right there with Troy's. And he's 27. Polamalu's at least 34 now, and he's been faced with a myriad of health issues. So we think that he fits right in line with these two players.
So do you guys think that this is a fair offer? Or at least
The
it's
number of
offer?
tackles is lower because he played fewer games.
Yeah.
Because he's still in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, should we count it real quick? We have a quick counter thing. Are you guys done with your pitch and then?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll talk numbers.
Yeah, we can focus on the negotiations.
Function alphabet.
Yeah.
You have a video?
Nah,
no,
we have
it's
a
not.
PowerPoint.
What kind of it?
No, the Eagles.
Right?
Again, we're here on behalf of the Eagles in representation talks with Jairus Byrd, trying to get him added compensation to our team.
Eagles. Go Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
That's what we're all about right here.
Alright, so our adjusted cap is 24,181, 365, as you can see up there. Includes a carryover of 17 million roundabouts. Taking that into consideration with the rookie pool of 19,000,005, yields an adjusted cap of the same number, 19,500. Further, we've signed 51 out of 53 players. So I mean, we have room to sign Bird, but we don't. As you know, Howie has authorized us to make decisions, regarding this player, and Howie loves to get good deals with good incentives, and there's always good players available. So we want flexibility with this.
Jairus Byrd.
It's Jairus Byrd. Looking at what?
Should we not do that right now?
We can go back to that.
Like I said,
We want to make Jairus Byrd a Bird for life. We want him to be locked up as an Eagle. We want him here. Great marketing possibilities. Sounds great. Pretty cool looking guy, I'm not gonna lie. Oregon's pretty sweet. 356 career tackles with 3 sacks, 22 career interceptions, the numbers speak for themselves. 3 Pro Bowl selections. That thing's Gil.
Pretty cool. Hey guys, you know any deal?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think this is probably one of our biggest things. He set us 6 games last year with foot soreness. But he did also win that Black Earth Award in 2010 with the number 1 team, which we like. We're all about that.
But there are other options for us at the position. We need current team members, free agents, potential draft picks. PJ Ward got 342 combined tackles, 5 interceptions. And Malcolm Jenkins for 358 combined tackles, 4 interceptions. The team can beat fill the league for safety also.
These are some great prospective draft picks coming up right now. We paid them a lot less than Jairus Byrd for possibly similar production. We think Byrd, we want Byrd because he's obviously a more veteran player, but these guys can fill the need just as well.
The hometown media would maybe criticize initially the Bird signing. It's a big risk for the league.
Yeah, we know.
Keep for that kind of decision.
Philly.com says that.
Is that March 10th though?
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's before.
That was before?
That was
We're
before
supposed to,
any
yeah.
other decisions have been made.
Alright, just checking. It may change the best bet, but.
Yeah, no, it's,
The way the Eagles' defensive scheme works out, Malcolm Jenkins may be a better fit. Byrd is obviously the big splash. He's a big name in the free agent market, but we don't need to pay Malcolm Jenkins as much.
He was injured. You have to see a foot doctor.
I mean, you know, it's Eagles have had problems with injuries at safety. You know, I mean, that's one of our biggest issues here. You know, we had Earl Wolf last year, who, by the way, is a good prospect. You know, we're thinking we might do some things with him in the future. So you know, we don't need another guy who's necessarily going to be that injured if we're going to be paying that much money.
We're a family here.
Yeah.
We want Jairus Byrd to be part of our Eagles family.
So let's work.
We want him to feel the synergy.
Let's fit it together.
Like go back to what we're gonna offer.
Yeah.
All right.
Our counter offer would be the 5 years, $42 million, with 15 guaranteed, an $11 million signing bonus, $2 million roster bonus for the first 2 years, and then we're gonna later with a little workout incentive and some roster bonuses over the next couple of years.
And that's a good deal.
You guys leave that up there.
Yeah.
So you're limiting is 14 million. Our, is our minimum, or our offer was 68 million. So I guess, you know, obviously we're not going to accept this offer, so we'll have to meet in the middle if you guys actually want to sign it.
Okay.
What do you think is
I guess, I mean, we were looking at a 6-year deal, you guys put up with 5 years, you know. So are you guys more comfortable with a 5-year deal as opposed to a 6? I mean, you mentioned about long-term.
I mean, somebody who's so injury prone, I think we'd rather something a little shorter.
I mean, I don't know if it's fair to characterize a player as injury prone.
Right.
Yes,
He
he
missed
is.
6 games last year. Yeah.
And the year before, I mean, that's.
I think we'd highly consider a 6th year if it was more incentive laden.
And I think we've talked about a team option.
I just think a team option for a 6th year.
The amount of cap room that you guys have, you know, your potent offense, you've done a lot of good things on that side of the ball, and it seems to me that the secondary for the Eagles has been an Achilles heel for a long time. I mean, you guys had a great turnover margin last year because Nick Foles outperformed even the greatest, loftiest expectations you could have possibly had for him. So I think if you want to maintain the direction of this team, you need to shore up the back end of your defense.
We can shore up the back end of the defense without selling the farm in our cap space. We want to maintain enough cap room to be able to add big name free agents like Jairus Byrd in the future, so we can have a team around him. We just need to add to
You guys are picking 22nd, so out of the, I don't know, you had that graphic with
Clinton Dix, Calvin Pryor,
I don't think,
and Jimmy Ward in the second. We don't need somebody in the first.
I mean, Clinton Dix is probably gonna be gone in the first 10 picks, so he's probably off the board by 20, I mean, he's pretty much definitely gonna be off the board by 22. So I'm just not sure you're gonna find a player of his caliber, of Jairus Byrd's caliber, in the draft, and even so, he's gonna be first year in a pro organization that clearly has different standards than most.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
not,
don't the Bills utilize a 4-3? I mean, it's gonna be a different setup for Jairus Byrd too, going 3-4, so.
we could fit a Malcolm Jenkins type or a
TJ
TJ Ward type
Ward,
much
you know.
better, and they have very similar career numbers to Jairus Byrd. They don't have the splash value, they're not gonna have the fan appeal, but they work and they're
TJ Ward
cheap.
is he's a really good player, but his career interception numbers are maybe at like 20% of what Jairus Byrd's put up.
Damn good run stopper though. And I don't know if you watched that game, that New Orleans game, but you needed a run stopper.
He can
So-
definitely do good things for your team, but he won't do what our client will do.
Speaking of interceptions, would you guys be willing to negotiate out an interception incentive bonus?
I think so.
I think we can attach that to the deal. Sure.
But the total workload contract has to be substantially higher than 42 million. And I guess it has to also be, somewhere in the middle between 72 and, between 68 and 46.
So I think with a 5-year, we're looking more like,
60 cents?
60, no. Yeah, somewhere around 60.
I guess maybe high 50s or 60s.
I mean, we want to average around the other top safeties in the league, and that averages are, maybe just under 10 million a year.
And you gave
And
us
Jairus
a
Byrd
comparable.
is
Yeah,
the
Palomalo.
best free safety, yeah.
Palomalo, Eric Berry. Eric Berry's making, I think it's 8.5 guaranteed this year before his bonus, and he's been injury prone his whole career dating back to college. More so than any type of injuries that our client has had. Palomalo is the same way, and he's getting paid more than this offer is. I think if we kind of meet a little towards the middle, in terms of guaranteed money, and then maybe,
Games played incentive be
Games
something you
played
guys would be up to?
Maybe like
okay.
a certain number, I don't know.
He plays 12
Should we-
games,
I mean,
500.
We asked for
No,
what?
60,
16 or a million.
I guess we should just start with, salary and then start talking about bonuses that we have an idea of where the contract's
I think we need it to be 6 years,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Just because he's 27, this is going to be his contract, because every player in the NFL gets one deal that they can secure themselves on. So I think that if you guys could lock him into 6 years, that would go a long way towards us agreeing to more incentives.
I would be willing to talk 6 years if that 6 years is a team option.
Maybe a team option with a pretty big buyout for our client.
Find pretty big.
I figure the deal this big, maybe like 1.5,
Somewhere between 1 and 2 million. And the company
Yeah.
says we can write in,
because I know a lot of big time players making like in that range are getting $2 million buyouts. Like Eli Manning's is like 2 and change. Figure maybe 1.5-ish.
I mean, Eli Manning is also like 2 times.
He is, but our players are 3 times Pro Bowlers, so he's only been in the league since 2009.
1.5 buyout doesn't bother me too much. We'll have to talk about that. But if we're gonna give you 1.5 buyout, then I think the rest of the years 3, 4, and 5 should be pretty incentive laden with that game's played that Chris brought up before. The game's played incentive.
Our offer's 68 million over 6.
Right.
So this is 5 for 42.
That's 16 over 6, how much is that a year? That's like 11?
Yeah, 11 point something, right?
Oh, it's good.
So I think it's like 11.3.
It's 11.83 at that.
Yeah. So
11.33.
so
Alright, we got 2 minutes left.
what about 6 years? Add another year. 6 years.
We're willing to go 6 years, I think,
Okay, do 6 years.
with the option of the 1.5 buyout. Right,
Yeah.
6 year.
Yeah, now, for those 6 years, the salary that we were looking for is total about 18 million. That's the salary over 6 years, at least.
The guaranteed.
Yeah.
The guaranteed locked in salary.
Yeah. And, some of the parts of our contract is a guaranteed, I guess, clause. Have you guys had a chance to take a look at that?
Briefly, right, yeah.
Right. So that, the guarantee clause, whatever deal that we make with you guys, we want the guarantee clause in that deal.
Are-
And so.
Are these sorry,
No, no.
are these bonuses part of the contract itself, or are they tacked on to that $42 million figure?
They're part of the 42.
Okay. I think we just need more locked-in money, because we wanted 36, right?
Yeah. The 36 was our guarantee.
36, and that's like
Right.
pretty far off from 15. Is there any way you could do a bigger signing bonus to kind of?
We're giving you guys the 6 years.
The 6 years with the team option isn't the same thing as giving 6 years.
You know what, can we take the caucus for a couple minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have whatever.
Yeah.
So should we just hit record again or something like that?
We're not recording with
Oh,
the
yeah,
his thing's recorded, his webcam.
Okay.
The guy said it was,
That's crazy. I didn't know that. I've actually never used to read that.
Kills us that we have the biggest deal in free.
Yeah, we can't take any of that, but his was 5 years, right?
Yeah.
It was 5 at 54 or 6.
Okay, fine.
I think it was, I mean, multiple sources said 54, but.
Right. So the guarantee clause, we definitely need to keep that in there, But
Yeah.
the guarantee clause only.
Especially for a guy who has any injuries.
Right, I mean, only as a firm. So, which I'm sure you've heard of. So the guarantee clause guarantees salary.
So let's ask for a huge signing bonus, like
Yeah.
$20 million bonus.
Well, right now, what do we have? We have that 4 for. Yeah, 11.
Right,
Oh, we have a 10 million signing bonus.
right.
They were at 11.
Yeah, so we need more.
Okay, so 10.
Dude, as long as we have to work out like.
Close to what the real deal is.
Yeah, well, I would more, I would say, but.
I would like
We
more.
want 10 million, right now, I think we have the numbers, we was at 11 million.
Yes.
We'll basically give up like $1 million every.
Right.
Alright, so how about,
So we should front load it and we should make our year one roster bonus substantial, because I remember in the guaranteed clause, it's all
Yeah.
salary, all signing bonus, and year one roster bonus.
we asked for 11, they're offering 8 per. And that's including all these bonuses that he has to hit. So we gotta get something more.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about it the whole time.
We asked for 16 and 10, and then, we could increase the bonus. And we need it, the real money.
I'm sorry we came back in too early.
That's all right.
Catch us while we're at 5.
Sorry, I'm gonna pitch it.
You want us to go first?
Yeah.
Are we back recording? We're good?
Yeah, we're back recording. You're just looking for me, kind of in the middle of one. There we go.
Okay, resuming negotiations on Jairus Byrd. We had an offer, actually, let's hear your offer first. if you don't mind. 6 years, we're going 6 years, 54 million, with incentives up to 58, but the injury history is what really scares us getting such a long contract.
What's the injury issue, you know what I mean, correctly?
He's chronic foot
It's chronic foot problems, playing only 6
Last
games,
year?
couple years, the past couple
The
years.
past couple of years, yeah.
So we,
I thought it was only last year.
I thought it was on last year too.
well, he's been injured
2012,
before. He only played
2012, he
6
missed a
games.
bunch of practices.
Yeah,
So,
it's recurring.
it's recurring.
But we would incentivize it, we would give you the 6 years, no option, 6 years, 54 million, possible incentives up to 58, which we could talk that with what it would be, maybe that speed incentive you guys were talking about before. But we would want a clause in there that, very similar to what Naomi Asamoah had a couple years back, that the Rays were scared of his injury history, and so it's such a big contract, the Rays didn't want to be locked in. So they had we would start it in the 3rd year of his salary, that if he didn't play 10 games a season, the contract would be null, and he could go seek, he could be released.
See, but then you get into the, with the coach is playing towards the end of his deal, maybe you could sign a first round somebody and then.
Well, if he's playing well, there's no reason they're not going to play. If he's playing as well as you are representing he's going to play, then 3 years down the line, you should be playing at least 10 games a season.
Oh, of course, but I'm saying in terms of year 6, you guys take a first round flyer on a safety,
Well,
that,
in year 6,
That-
if
that
this is
essentially
that,
makes
then
year-
he's still nated to year 6.
We'll limit it to if only in the event that he is injured. Not if coaches
Yeah.
scratch, it's not if he's a healthy scratch.
Right.
This is all premised on him being healthy.
how about we allow that for the last year of the deal and not the last 3?
Well, actually, that's the buyout year out.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the last 4? Or,
Last two.
yeah, the last 2,
Four,
sorry, yeah.
4, or 5 and 6.
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe one.
Yeah, I think it would be alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fine, but.
Five and
I would
If
also-
with that stipulation that it's, you know, if it's held on the injury.
Only if he's injured,
reserve,
only on his
yeah.
reserve, and that's the reason why he's not.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, we
maybe
feel
a doctor or something, do a physical or something.
I think obviously we both need to be careful with the phrase
Yeah.
of that clause,
Because it's
Right.
basically
because you don't
what
want to create any
what might happen.
controversy
Yeah.
around either, you know, not wanting.
Yeah, it
last-
would look bad for both of us.
We won't know in the last year anyway, whether or not he plays that game until the end of the season, in which case he's already done.
He's already done.
Alright, so
So
you
more
want
money, so it might have to be years
Clause
4 and 5 and then 6.
Right, that's.
Right. And the clause you guys are about, it's fine with me, so long as we also include the guaranteed money clause that which you guys have.
Yeah, negotiating guaranteed money, what you guys do moving forward?
What about something in the same work, I guess? What is currently?
I just throw out a number.
I guess it would,
We have 30.
what was your numbers now, 54?
58, you have 58 with your.
Up to
58
58.
including incentives,
Right.
so I guess 30 guaranteed, 32,
Yeah, I think
something like that.
30,
You guys be okay with 27?
I think it
What
was
was
29.
Go back.
28.
I was thinking I was 28.
I was
28.
28.5, right?
Yeah, sure, 25.
How about we call it 28, but if he meets a certain interception total over the course of the contract,
It'll kick another incentive then?
it'll kick in another 2 million that we just had it over.
Would that be 2 million to get it up to the 58?
No, 2 million
2 million.
beyond the 58.
So 60.
So
Yeah.
this would be in year 6 at the end of his contract.
Yeah, well, you know, by the time he is done with his term on the Eagles,
If he gets like 25 interceptions, he'll get an extra
Yeah.
2 million.
say 20 interceptions over the life of the contract,
Okay.
We like that.
Yeah.
So it'll be 6 years,
and then we can, that's like,
or up to total 60.
Okay.
And then that opt out, the injury, we'll call it the injury clause.
Sure.
Yeah.
Injury clause,
And that kicks in at year 4?
at year 4.
year 4 and 5,
Okay.
and then, like 2 million bonus for meeting
Right.
20 interceptions over 6 years, or the duration of his time on the Eagles.
To get it to 60, right?
Yeah.
You said there was a number of games that you were looking at played for the injury clause?
Yeah, they
10,
do
right,
10.
10 per season.
10.
Which should be pretty doable.
Yeah.
So.
You played 10 last year, even with athletics here.
Yeah, active roster 10, not,
Right.
yeah.
Go ahead and draw that up. And then incentives to get up to the, it was 654, and then the 4 million incentives.
So how are we tying the bonus for the first 3 years of the deal for health? So that the speed bonus will be until that latter clause kicks in, injury clause.
Okay.
And that'll be the incentives part.
Alright.
Do you want to pencil that down so we have it?
Yeah, I got it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you guys could email us, I guess, for the numbers that we
Yeah, we got it right here.
Yeah.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
We got, I think we're all gonna work on the memo together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. Cool.
Handshakes.
Yeah.
Great job.
Welcome to the Eagles.
Great job, everyone.
There you go, sir.
So,
Bravo.
alright.
Well done.
That's good.
Okay, well, you're gonna Eagle.
Let's start spending that guarantee money.
Got the bird on the Eagles. This is you.